Hello, this is Dr. Don, and this is part one, the first steps in making the best use of the Rocket Math online game. You know to review their progress, and you should have seen the review progress video. You can log in on your account, follow along with what we're going to show you. Here's how. And go to the Math.com, our home page, and in the upper right corner, in that orange bar, you'll see Login Central. Click on Login Central for the drop-down menu, and you want to choose Online Game Admin. That will bring you to this login box on the star field, this one here, and enter your email address and your password and click on Login. Of course, if the password doesn't work, you can reset it by clicking on Forgot Your Password. That will ask for your email, and then it'll send you a link to reset your password. You fill it in twice and hit Login, and then that takes you right to the admin account. So don't forget to record the password you set up. When you come into the online admin, you will see on the left-hand side the main navigation, the rainbow navigation. So it's rainbow color to catch your attention. The first tab we're going to point out is the fifth tab down, the yellow-green colored Help tab. This is where you find help, the FAQs, the directions, instructions for everything you need to know to this game. So please use that. If you click on it, your browser will open a new tab, and it will show you the help page of the Rocket Math website. You can try it now. Looks like this. There's more to it. You scroll down. But all the help page topics have to do with the steps of making this happen. Everything from step 1, registering an account, to step 4, sharing the login with the parents and students, to step 6, monitoring how students are progressing. Okay, you can go back to the main admin, online game admin site, look at the main navigation, and let's look at the orange tab for the dashboard. You'll notice, by the way, this little black bar at the right-hand edge, that shows you the tab that you've selected, that you're on. And so it moves up and down with you as you look at different tabs. So in the dashboard, here are some important things that you need to know about. If you look carefully, you can see over here on the right-hand, extreme right-hand edge of your screen, a green button that says Feedback. This green feedback button is the best way to report technical glitches when something doesn't work right. It goes directly to the tech team. It reports your type of device, your browser, your email, and that way they can troubleshoot if there's a problem with your device, and they can give you feedback directly. People send me emails, and that's okay, but I just have to turn around and do the same thing. Click on the button and do that, and it doesn't then have the information about your device. So if that's the problem, they won't know. Students, by the way, have the same green feedback button on their screen. And if they have problems, they should do the same, particularly logging in. Often students will say, I can't log in. And when they report that on this green feedback button, we could see actually what they typed in when they were logging in, and often find the source of the problem. Now, we read all of this feedback from you and from the students to find things that need fixing. So really appreciate it if students avoid using it to make silly or rude remarks. But we do want to be alerted if something is going wrong. Further down the main rainbow navigation is the parent letter. This is helpful to disseminate information about the online game to the parents of your students so your students can play at home. So go ahead and click on it. It will open in a new page in your browser. This is what it looks like. You'll want to print out enough copies for all of your students. And then up at the top, on each one, you write in the student's name, then their username, passcode, and account number. And then they could take that letter home. It explains about the game, where they log in, how to do it explains about the green feedback button. So very useful. Someday I'll have those automatically printed out for you with the information in it, but we haven't got to that yet. Back to the main rainbow connection here, and let's look at another tab. The color in rocket chart. What do you think? That's kind of an aqua color, I guess. So click on that, and it takes you to a page that shows you this rocket chart. Oops. This rocket chart. Now, pictured here, I have one that's partially used, filled in, so you see how students use it. But the ones that you print out will not be. Now, the first thing you want to do is have them, of course, put their name on it, and then check the learning track that they're working on. And there's sort of an implied challenge to collect all 16. It'd probably take 2 or 3 years for a student to do that, but it could be done. And they would be much the better in math for it. Now, in each A to Z phase, A to Z set, there's 3 phases: the takeoff phase, the orbit phase, and the universe phase. And at the end of each one, students can stop and color that in if they'd like, or do it at the end of their session, however far they got. But you want to give them the time to savor this achievement by coloring in it. It's important. And you want to be impressed by their progress because they're working hard to get there. Back to the admin page, and let's click on the dashboard tab again. And one of the first things you need to do in your dashboard is enable learning track alerts. You need to be alerted when students get to the end of a learning track. Otherwise, they're going to just be stuck at set Z with nothing to do until you change them to a different learning track. So that's why you want to be alerted. So you click on that orange button to be alerted. As soon as you do, it will turn red and say disable learning track alerts. So you know what will happen the next time you click it. So just click it once and be alerted, and then you'll have to change learning tracks when they get to the end of it. So how do you do that? Well, let me show you. To change learning track, you have to go on the dashboard and go to the right-hand end of each student's row, and you'll see the individual action button. Click on the individual action button, that green one, and it will reveal a choice of actions, one of which is appropriately enough change learning track. Select that, you get a pop-up, also called change learning track, and you'll see the current learning track in the window. If you click on the little tiny arrow at the right-hand edge of the box, it will reveal the 16 learning tracks from which to choose. Once you make a selection, and that shows in the window, then click on the green assign button to make it happen. And by the way, if you do this for a student who's in a learning track now and they're in the middle of the A to Z sequence, but you assign them that sequence again, click assign, it'll start them over at set A. So unless you're feeling mean, you want to be very careful about whose individual action button you're working on. Trust me, I know people have contacted me who are desperate because they just reset a student's learning track to A. And if you do that accidentally, you can report it immediately on the green feedback button in hopes that the tech team can catch it. And if they can, they might be able to restore it. But otherwise, you're going to be needing the toughness certificate because this student's going to have to start all over again. More on the toughness certificate in a later video. Now, another button on the dashboard available is the brick red Assign Student Logins button. Now, that's what you do when you add a student to your class or to your roster. And people say, I don't know where to add a student. It doesn't say add a student because what you're actually doing is assigning a login to an available seat in your account. So click on the Assign Student Logins, that brick red button, when you have a new student. And when you click on that, up pops this this pop-up that says DIY, do-it-yourself student logins. And this is one in which you can just type in the username, the passcode, and select the learning track. And you can do that for however many are available to you. and then you click the green button, as always, to make it happen. And if you don't have any available seats, then you can't assign a login to a seat. You have to get another seat. And that is, you do that in your account payment renew page, is where you go to purchase more seats. Now, an owner can change teacher managers from, one student from one teacher manager to a different one. It's a two-step process. They have to be first disconnected from their current teacher, and then they become a free agent. It says NA on their name, where the teacher's name normally is, and then they can be connected to a new teacher. So this can be done with an individual, disconnect them from one teacher manager, and then connect them to a new teacher manager, and it can be done with a group of students in bulk actions. Select all the ones you want to disconnect them, then select them again and connect them to a different teacher manager. Again, if you have a student in your class and you're a teacher manager, you're going to have to tell the owner to make that change. If you have a student in your class who doesn't belong there, the owner has to make that change. So this has been part one, the first steps in making best use of the online game. Part two is about fluency data from the 1-minute races. Part three is about game speed and whether it's too fast and what to do about it. And part four is about motivating students. And you really should see all of them.